yourself mindlessly scrolling on social media? I do. It can be fun, but studies show that it also has negative effects on your well-being. Instagram recently removed the likes button in a lot of different people's accounts, and that was in an effort to make their app a little bit healthier for users. But how do we know when social media becomes just too much? Dr. Karen Gordon is here to help us out. Give us some love.
We're tackling it. We're going in.
This topic is a good one. As a 44-year-old, very confident woman who has a lot going on, I find I get pulled into the fray of social media, and I have to set really hard limits and boundaries on myself.
Yes.
Because once you start going down that road, it can be really dangerous. I worry about young people growing up and not having those filters. So let's talk a little bit about the stats, and then you've got some really good helpful tips for us.
I mean, this may or may not surprise you. So the average person, according to Digital Information World, spends 142 minutes every day on social media. Just social media. We're not even talking
Just
about
social
screens.
media.
So that's over 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, and the younger generations will actually even be higher. So over 2 hours, and so then you kind of think about, okay, well, is this actually really good for us? So University of Pennsylvania asked students to limit it just down to either cut it out completely or limit it down to 30 minutes a day. And what did they actually find? There was a massive reduction in depression and loneliness. So it is correlated, okay? It's not a cause and effect, but it is correlated. Harvard actually did more research, and they actually found that there was another more correlation around self-esteem, loneliness, isolation, and stress.
Interesting.
So you know, there are some benefits. We're going to talk about the benefits. It's not like it's all, you know, it's not all bad.
No.
But we have got to control this, or it will control us.
Okay, so it's a real thing.
It is a real thing.
It's not just an innocuous thing out there. It's actually affecting the way you might think about the world or yourself, and it might be changing things for you. So you say we need to see the big picture.
So I want us to really take I love shows like this. I love segments like this because we can just kind of pause and just take a step outside going, okay, what are we really doing here, right? So let's kind of look at the big picture. Let's look at the benefits. So the benefits, when I actually ask people, what are actually the benefits? They'll say things like, I love to connect with my family. I love to be inspired. I love motivational quotes, you know, great fashion, great food, great tips. So there are some benefits to it. The cost, though, is it is correlated with loneliness, depression, anxiety, stress, and I think the biggest thing is a lot of us compare.
We
compare
That's
ourselves
the problem.
to ourselves. We're comparing ourselves to people who are taking 15, 20 different photos that are not even real, that are photoshopped.
Totally.
That's what we're comparing ourselves to. Do you realize? So this is what we're up against. And so I think it's really important that we kind of see the whole picture. Yes, there are benefits, but we've got to kind of pull this thing back in and get control back.
The way it's been created, these apps, is that you're just getting this snapshot without context. And so we talked on the show before about jealousy and envy, but you see the perfect house, you see the perfect kids, you see, if you're younger, you see the people at the party that you weren't invited to, and it's a snapshot. So everything looks amazing. And maybe it isn't amazing, but that's, you have no frame of reference to figure that out. All you know, and a friend said this to me, is Instagram shows you everything that you're not. That's all you know. All you know is you're not there. All you know is that's not your house. You know, so you really have to be sort of telling yourself this story as you're looking at it. Right, so that you understand.
And have a healthy mindset.
Yes, and you're literate in trying to read it.
Totally.
So, okay, when you say know your costs, let's talk about the few things in your brain that might be going off that might tell you it's time to rack it back a bit.
Okay, so just ask yourself, you know, we can all be our own kind of judge around this. When we are looking at it, does it lift us or does it pull us down? Simple, just ask yourself, does it lift us or does it pull us down? And so that's what you want to kind of use as your first benchmark, okay? And so then we kind of enter this going, okay, let's use social media as a great tool into something that can actually lift us. So there's 4 questions I want you to ask yourself. The first one is, I want you to think about, what is your purpose with it? I gotta tell you, social media is not it's not a strength of mine. It is not a strength of mine. I'm a little bit on Instagram. I'm mostly on LinkedIn. I don't do anything on Facebook. I do, you know, not really that much on Twitter. It is really, if anything, this was a good segment for me. I'm like, oh, these are good tips, girl. Oh yeah, I was doing some self-positive talk in the car. I'm like, girl, you got some good tips, because this is a good one for me. The first one around, what's your purpose?
What is your, what should be the purpose for you, do you think?
Well, for me, I think what I want, and I'm going to do some more work on my Instagram because I do want to change that. I want my Instagram to really be a place of inspiration. That's what I want. I really want people to come and feel lifted. I don't want them to feel like, oh, that's what she's doing. So I feel like I want to personally change my whole format.
Me too. That's that's the whole point of mine. Lift,
lift.
Connect, and also for business, for branding. That's what it is. is. It should be a good reflection of who I am.
Of who you are. Yeah. So I think that's the first thing, is know what your purpose is. Okay. Number 2, start setting a goal then and start tracking yourself. How much time are you really on it? And what is the goal that you actually want to set? I had a client just last week saying, you know, my goal is I'm doing too much time. I'm going to start tracking how much time I'm actually on Instagram, and I'm going to kind of start reducing it. And so just you can start you start taking the controls back.
Yep.
The third thing is you start creating very concrete time boundaries. So ask yourself, I'm going to just do 20 minutes, or I'm going to do an hour, or I'm not going to look past 9 o'clock, or I'm not going to have it on my, you know, at the dinner table. Like, we've got to start setting boundaries. Boundaries give us our control back.
And your last tip?
And the last tip is and to really focus on the benefits. Focus on the benefit. Watch what will happen when you actually start taking control. You will feel like in control, energized, and your stress actually comes down.
Yeah, set those boundaries, everyone.
Set those boundaries.
Ghost and post.
I'm a
Ghost
boundary
and
girl.
post.
You're a boundary girl.
Yes, I'm big time with the boundaries. Karen, thank you so much for those really
You're welcome.
good